Hello everyone. What I wanted to cover today are some just basics of visual rhetoric, visual design. This will be really important as we set up our visual arguments. We want to make sure that our arguments are easy to read, easy to identify. And some of the biggest strategies for this are basically making good use of your white space to kind of help draw the eye around, making sure that there's enough space between your ideas so it doesn't feel cluttered, and making use of contrast, changing up the font sizes, changing up the font types, changing up even font colors if that's something that fits your argument, the images that you've chosen. One of the main things that we want to do is make sure that our arguments, our design is good for the image that we have, for the way that everything needs to be read. So as you can see, my argument that I'm starting now revolves around the loss of lives at seas. So I've picked a picture that has a little sailboat off in the distance, making it look very small and sort of helpless, perhaps. And there's a lot of white space. It's a little bit of blue in it because it's the sky, but it basically acts as white space. A lot of white space above the boat. It's tempting to do what I've just done now and fill the whole freaking thing up with text. There's plenty of room. It looks kind of like a PowerPoint slide. You go, why shouldn't I do this? Well, I'll tell you why you shouldn't do this. It makes your whole image look more blocky than it already is. We kind of want to have this illusion that it's not a block, that it's got more pieces going on. So we're going to make this font smaller, probably about 27. I'm going to drag it down here, kind of sea level, to kind of help emphasize the ship and how minute it is, how small it is. What I have right here is a block of text. So we basically have a block down here full of colorful waves. We have a block up top full of blue and white. There's a little boat. With this text here, the boat still isn't really popping, is it? It doesn't really get noticed because our eyes move here. They kind of just lock in here right now. So we're going to try a couple different things, see what works out best. A large part of visual rhetoric, getting your designs down, is just experimenting, figuring out what's really going to work for you. So what I'm going to try here, I'm going to separate my main points with the boat. And I need another text box. Okay, so now I have two text boxes. They kind of frame my picture, but again, it still looks pretty static, doesn't it? There's not a lot of movement, there's not a lot of direction for our eyes. Our eyes basically just lock in right in the center of the picture, and we do want a little bit of extra movement. So one thing that we can do have a little bit more vertical movement with this text. And let's see, we'll move that line over. And maybe we'll give it a little bit more space between the lines. Now this is something that I'm doing in a little more complicated of a fashion in InDesign, but you can easily mimic the same technique with just multiple text boxes in Word. Let's see, actually, I think I'm gonna push this a little bit more over. And now what I'm creating, if you'll kind of notice, is this sort of arc down to the boat. So we have every year 1,000 lives are lost at sea, and then we have this boat. part of our problem, even if we drag don't be a statistic down here, so it kind of flows with it, is that don't be a statistic is the exact same size, is the exact same font as our other fonts. Now what I suggest is going to an italic or bold font. Both of those can be pretty good. It depends on the impact, what you want to convey. And we might want to move it just a little bit over to the right of our image. Something that kind of keeps this flow going. And it's always good to look at it as a final image without all these extra boxes. Kind of check out what's going on. I think what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to trim this image a little bit. I'm going to crop it. Because it feels just a little bit too big. It feels a little too big for what I'm trying to do. So as you can see from my final image, my final version of this, I played with the design of the picture a little bit. We have this blue up here that kind of draws your eyes in. The image played to that strength. So every year, 1,000 lives are lost at sea. Don't be a statistic. So our eyes follow this line through our image. And that's just a pretty quick little explanation of contrast. Sometimes contrast is as simple as italics. Sometimes it's a little more complex. It's changing whole fonts. You can do that too. Sometimes it's size, making it something smaller, making something bigger. Then we also have our white space. We want to make sure that our letters aren't super close and kind of claustrophobic. We want room to breathe and separate our ideas. Yeah, I hope that's informative for you. I hope that makes a lot of sense.